Hey everyone, and welcome back to my channel. My name is Josh and this is your stimulus check update for Thursday, July 9th. I hope everyone is having a great week so far. In this video, I'll be discussing both the first and second stimulus checks, including why we shouldn't be concerned over McConnell's new supposed stimulus check limitations. I'll also be going over the EIDL grant, and then I'll be wrapping up this video by answering some of the comments and questions I received in my previous video. But first, if you wouldn't mind real quickly liking this video, giving me a big thumbs up, it really just helps with the YouTube algorithm in terms of pushing this video out to other viewers like you, and hopefully helping other people like you as well. Also, leave a comment in the comment section below letting me know whether or not you received your first stimulus check yet. Believe it or not, unfortunately, there are still millions of Americans who haven't even received their first stimulus payment, even though we're already talking about a second round potentially going out within the next month or two. So leave a comment in the comment section below, letting me know if you've even received your first stimulus payment. Okay, so I'm going to start this video out with some first stimulus check updates. If you haven't yet received your first stimulus check, as mentioned, you are definitely not alone. The good news is that more stimulus payments are set to be sent out by the IRS next Wednesday on July 15th. So if you haven't been checking the payment portal, start doing so and let me know in the comment section below if you're already receiving a payment date of July 15th as well. Also, just another reminder for those expats living abroad outside the United States, if you still haven't received your first stimulus check, the IRS did make note that those direct deposits should be sent out no later than July 24th if you're going to receive your check via direct deposit in your bank account. Now that's for people that do have a US-based bank. If you do not have a US-based bank, then unfortunately it's going to take a little bit longer because the IRS is going to have to be mailing your check instead of directly depositing it. And for the rest of you guys that are still waiting for your first stimulus check, hang in there. I know it's definitely frustrating, but if you are eligible for it, then you will eventually receive a payment date and you will eventually receive your payment. So earlier this week, news broke out that Mitch McConnell may only want those people who earn less than $40,000 per year to receive a stimulus check. In a press conference, McConnell made note that those who earn less than $40,000 per year were hit the hardest. So, of course, by making that statement, analysts instantly jumped to conclusions that McConnell only wants the next round of stimulus checks to go to those people who earn less than $40,000 per year. And this, if true, just to compare, would be almost half the income requirements as the CARES Act, as people in the CARES Act would receive the full $1,200 stimulus payment if they earn less than $75,000 per year as a single individual. Now, you might be thinking to yourself here, where exactly is this $40,000 per year figure coming from? According to Federal Reserve Chairman Jerome Powell, close to 40% of Americans earning less than $40,000 per year lost their jobs in March. This is exactly why McConnell believes that this group has been hit the hardest. For months now, McConnell and some of the other Republicans have made mention that they want the next stimulus bill to be a bit more targeted. So with all that said, I can definitely see why some analysts would jump to the conclusion that by McConnell dropping $40,000, that he could be implying that he wants the next stimulus checks to be targeted only to those people who earn less than $40,000 per year in order to be more fiscally responsible and save some more money for the country. Mitch McConnell has also told President Trump that he does not want the next stimulus bill to be more than $1 trillion. Of course, once again, in comparison, Nancy Pelosi and the House Democrats want the next stimulus bill to be a whopping $3 trillion, and between the two, Donald Trump has dropped $2 trillion in what he thinks the next stimulus bill should be for. Now, since Mitch McConnell is shooting for such a low number in $1 trillion for the next stimulus bill, reducing the amount of stimulus checks being sent out in the next bill would be one good way, I guess, to reduce the next stimulus package. And Republicans aren't the only skeptical group in terms of sending out these second stimulus checks. Some Democrats have even recently voiced their own concern about these stimulus checks as well. Ben Cardin said, quote, "I think the next round we've got to be more targeted to those who are really in need. So I hope we can target this a little better to those who have been hit hard because of the virus." So as you can see there, it's not just the Republicans who want these next stimulus checks to be a little bit more targeted. We're seeing a little bit from the Democratic side as well, where they're wanting these stimulus checks to be a little bit more targeted as well. Democratic Senator Debbie Stabenow has also been a little bit skeptical about stimulus checks as well. She noted, quote, "One-time payments are not what people need. What people need is a paycheck. They need ongoing income until this is done. That's what they need." And you know, I can actually kind of agree with that statement. One-time stimulus payments are not going to help anyone in the long run. Then when you start looking at ongoing monthly payments like those $2,000 per month proposals to all Americans, that's something that right now the government is saying they simply cannot afford. But then whenever you look at the number of people unemployed and the overall risk of the virus, it's just a really, really tough situation. Okay, so let's take a look at what would happen if we did limit the amount of people receiving these stimulus checks to those people only earning less than $40,000 per year. First off, I'm assuming that we wouldn't completely cut people off at that number. Most likely those people who earn $40,000 or less per year would earn the full $1,200, and then after that there would be some type of phase out period, much like in the CARES Act. So for every $100 more that you made more than $40,000 per year, your stimulus check would go down by $5. Then once your income exceeded a certain amount, say like $65,000, you would then be cut out completely. Also, the amount of your stimulus check would presumably double if you were married, so those married couples earning $80,000 or less per year should earn a $2,400 combined stimulus payment. Okay, so obviously we would see a huge reduction in the amount of stimulus checks handed out. Many people would be left out here. Take a look at this chart for an example. Approximately 13 million households who earn between $40,000 to $50,000 could possibly not receive the full stimulus. And then approximately 24.6 million households who earn between $50,000 to $75,000 annually may not receive the full stimulus payment. By going through with this plan, you would be disincluding so many people. You also have to figure that a flat number such as $40,000 doesn't really make much sense, considering how far $40,000 will take you depends on which area in the country that you're living. So for example, if you live in Los Angeles, $40,000 isn't going to get you too far. Now on the other hand, maybe if you live like in Kansas City or somewhere in the Midwest, the $40,000 is probably going to get you a little bit further than it would in Los Angeles. Cost of living makes a huge difference. Now, I can see the reasoning behind maybe cutting some people out of receiving a stimulus check. There are certain people during this pandemic who actually kept their jobs and they already earn a pretty decent income for where they live. These people, by all measures, you could say are doing pretty reasonably well in life. So sure, maybe you can make a reasonable argument that someone earning $65,000 or $70,000 per year as a single individual living in a low cost of area, city or state maybe doesn't necessarily need a stimulus check. However, here's the argument against that. These stimulus checks aren't necessarily for paying off bills. Their intention is to stimulate the economy. So even if these individuals don't necessarily need the money, even if they're not going through any type of hardship, let's face it, Americans are big time spenders. So this money is going to be put back into the economy. So maybe they can use this extra money to go out and buy a new TV, or maybe they'll go out to a restaurant and spend money at the restaurant helping businesses. And recently we've been hearing all about how hard hit the hospitality sectors have been. Well, guess what? These people who are receiving a $1,200 stimulus check, even though they may not absolutely need them, could end up using that extra money in those hospitality sectors or just entertainment sectors in general, and either way they are stimulating the economy, so that money is definitely getting put to good use. Okay, and finally, here's why we should not be concerned about what McConnell had to say about those earning less than $40,000 in comparison to receiving a stimulus check. Reason number one, he only stated a fact, and it's absolutely true. Look at the data. Those who earn less than $40,000 per year were laid off from their jobs at the greatest rate. Also, for the most part, obviously, those people who earn less than $40,000 per year simply aren't going to react as well to a pandemic as those who are earning six figures. Maybe they don't have as much savings. They probably have a less net worth, so they don't have as much money set back for these hard times. And finally, reason number two, he never once exclusively said that people earning less than $40,000 per year will be the only ones receiving a stimulus check. Never once did he say that. Now, could it possibly be taken out of context that he was alluding to that? Sure, but he did not say that word for word, so I do not want to be jumping to any conclusions here. It would be almost the same thing if McConnell were to come out and say that he was on board for a second round of stimulus checks and then followed up with the hospitality sectors being hit the hardest, and then all of a sudden us jumping to a conclusion that by him saying that hospitality sectors were hit the hardest, that therefore only people who work in the hospitality sectors should be receiving a stimulus check. So we simply cannot be reading too much into what he's trying to say here and try to overanalyze it. In fact, I think we should actually see this as a positive thing that now, at least on the surface, it seems like he's on board for a second round of stimulus checks. Because I think for a lot of us, we weren't sure whether he was on board for a second round of stimulus checks, if he was against stimulus checks, or really what was going through his head. So in my opinion at least, it's a big win that he's even coming out showing support for a second round of stimulus payments. So let's try not to read too much into his statement right now and jump to any negative conclusions. The Senate will be returning to Washington in less than 2 weeks now, so we are very close to hearing some very big news. In addition to stimulus checks, McConnell said that the main focus of the next stimulus package should be on kids, jobs, and healthcare. Okay, so just another quick reminder, if you do have any type of small business or side hustle, whether that's driving for Uber or Lyft, or maybe you sell on eBay or Poshmark part-time, just a couple of hours per week, remember this does not have to be any type of large-scale business. You are eligible for the EIDL grant. It is $1,000 per employee, up to 10 employees. And if you're the only employee, you'd be eligible for $1,000. I would recommend to apply for this grant as quickly as possible because that money is going to be running out very, very quickly. And I have seen many comments in the comment section that it only took a few days from applying for this grant to actually receiving the money directly deposited into a bank account. So I would apply as quickly as possible. You have nothing to lose. So if you have any hesitation or any questions whatsoever, or whether or not you'd be eligible, just apply. You have nothing to lose. All right, at this point, I'm gonna go ahead and move on to answering some of the questions and comments that I received in my previous video. And if you have any other comments or questions for me, feel free to leave them in the comment section below. I do try to answer as many comments and questions as I possibly can. And those comments and questions I'm not able to get to, I do try to respond to some of the more popular ones in the next video in video form. So without further ado, let's go ahead and jump into the first comment of today's video. That comment is from Patricia. Patricia says, will disabled people get this too? All right, thank you so much for that question, Patricia. Now, Treasury Secretary Steven Mnuchin did say that everyone who received the first stimulus check will also be receiving the second stimulus payment as well. And even though the stimulus bill has not yet been passed and nothing is official, I would have to safely assume that you would also be receiving the second stimulus check as well. All right, moving on to the next comment of today's video is from Christine. Christine says, hi Josh. My name is Christine, and as far as the second stimulus payment goes, if you were claimed on someone else's taxes, will you receive one this time? I received SSDI and I could not get the first one. All right, thank you so much for that question, Christine. And unfortunately, just like my last answer, the next stimulus bill has not yet been passed, so I can't say for sure. The Democrats actually want to make it so more people are receiving stimulus checks, whereas a lot of the Republicans are wanting to place some limitations on who all is receiving a stimulus payment. I can't give you a direct answer if it is the same as the first one, which I think it probably will be. More than likely, there might be more limitations rather than more people receiving stimulus payments. So if I were to guess, I would say dependents over the age of 17 won't be eligible for the second stimulus payment, but the bill has not yet passed, so there is definitely hope for those dependents over the age of 17 who weren't eligible for the first stimulus payment. All right, so on that note, I am gonna go ahead and wrap up this video. If you did enjoy the content in this video and you'd like to see more videos like it, please consider subscribing to my YouTube channel. It is completely free to do so, and it's a great support to me. Also, if you would like to receive one free stock valued all the way up to $500 from Robinhood, please feel free to claim that free stock by clicking the link in the description box below. And until next time, I'll see you guys, and I hope you have a great day today.